Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the Basketball Bulletin. I'm Trevor Lane. Donnie Freeman will be along momentarily. My goodness, some interesting developments just happened in the NBA. Take a look at this. We got a lot to talk about this afternoon, by the way. A little bit of an impromptu live, but a lot of things to talk about here. We'll talk a little bit about the Lakers, of course. We'll talk about SGA Gilgeous-Alexander, why everybody's losing their minds over one particular SGA play. But look at this. Mark Stein, moments ago, said, he asked who was over there in London. The Grizzlies just beat the Orlando Magic. Mark Stein said, I asked Ja Morant after this huge game in London. Ja puts up 24, 5, and 13. 24 points, 5 boards, 13 assists. He was awesome. About his immediate future, and he said the Grizzlies team logo he has tattooed on his back should tell you exactly where I want to be. If anybody here knows me, I'm a very loyal guy, Ja Morant says. Now, this would hint very strongly that Ja Morant has changed course and does not want to leave the Memphis Grizzlies. Do the Memphis Grizzlies still want to move on from Ja Morant? Is this Ja Morant getting ahead of things and thinking about this sneaker game and everything else, trying to make sure he doesn't alienate any fans? Is that what Ja Morant is up to here? So he can then, after he's traded, say, I didn't want to be traded. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was the Grizzlies who wanted to trade me. See, I said I'm a loyal guy. I said I wanted to stay. Is that what's going on here? Could it be that Ja Morant's market was so non-existent that Ja recognized he wasn't going to be able to leave Memphis? That maybe the Grizzlies and Ja Morant realized that they're just stuck together, unless, of course, the Grizzlies want to part with stuff in order to get Ja? Was that in any way part of the reason why Ja suddenly looked like Ja Morant again? After looking like a shell of himself for the majority of the season, Ja puts up, in 28 minutes, 24 points on 7 of 13 shooting, 13 assists, 5 rebounds. For a guy who on the season is averaging 19 points on 40% from the field, 21% from 3, 7.6 assists, he's having the worst season of his career. The worst season of his career. Now, at 26 years old, it's reasonable to think that better days are ahead for Ja Morant and he can play better than he has. But is this now a step towards Ja Morant being off the trade market and staying with the Grizzlies? Is this a step towards other teams saying maybe Ja has a little bit more? Okay, Memphis, we will give you some of the things that you're asking for. Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, how you doing, man? Donnie, the sigh heard around the world. The last time you and I talked basketball, we talked over on Lakers Nation. You started the show off with a big sigh, and based on the comments from that episode, most of the audience very much they connected to that moment.
Yeah, that was very appropriate because that's just how we feel nowadays. But I don't even want to talk about them. Don't ask me nothing about them this whole stream.
Oh, we're going to talk about them. There's no avoiding it. You know it's going to come up in the chat. But Donnie, I was just talking about, so Mark Stein just reported this. Ja Morant said he has a Grizzlies tattoo on his back, and that should tell you exactly where I want to be. And if anybody here knows me, I'm a very loyal guy. He dropped 24 and 13 today in his return in London against the Magic. And now it's sounding like this is him saying he wants to stay with the Grizzlies. What do you take from that?
Well, I don't think that guys typically do want to be traded unless they request a trade, right? And he this apparently tells me he hasn't requested a trade or anything like that. I don't know that this means they'll stop trying to shop him or get what they can for him, but maybe there's less urgency as a result. But yeah, I think that overall, though, it's just such a weird situation because while he's dealt with some injuries, of course, and there's been some other things with him over the years, he's a guy that showed a very high ceiling, and typically teams aren't looking to get off of these type of guys. So hopefully, I always opt for these star level players to stay where they're at and build something there and all that stuff. And hopefully things work out for him and he's able to stick it out in Memphis and they continue to build a team around him and they have some success.
So if Ja is going to stay, I do wonder how much of that is the market. And by the way, Ja saying I'm a very loyal guy doesn't mean the Grizzlies aren't going to decide to trade him. Again, the reporting has been rock solid that Memphis is seriously considering moving on from Ja for the first time since he arrived in Memphis. He's on 3 years left on his deal, including this year. 42.1 million next year, 44.8 million this year, and you got to match 39.4 million in salaries this year. So look, I could see Memphis still saying we're going to move on from it, but this could also be the market telling the Grizzlies and telling Ja that if anybody's going to take on the multiple years left on the deal, unlike Trae Young, who could be an expiring contract, at most has one more year under contract, Ja with multiple years under contract, maybe the offers were not there. And Ja saying, I'm going to stay in Memphis, takes some of the heat off, some of the pressure off of Memphis to get him off their roster, and maybe opens up a pathway to a deal leverage-wise. Ja suddenly starts playing better. He's not asking out. And then Memphis can reasonably say, well, see, now we don't have to trade him. Let's get serious about some offers here if you are going to come and try to get him from us.
Yeah, I still don't think that they'd be able to get that great of a return just because I think the market, to a degree, not like fully, but to a degree, has already been set by a guy like Trae Young. Now, that's different because situationally he wasn't performing well. The team wasn't performing well. They wanted to get something done. So you can maybe point to it from that perspective if you're another player, another team. But I think that has some bearing on the amount of picks or something like that you'd be able to get for a Ja in a trade, just because that also went down in the same offseason. I wanted to highlight this.
I saw that too. I'm like, wait, that is not accurate.
Memphis didn't choose the coach over Ja. The coach is gone. In fact, Ja's having the same problems with another coach.
And now Des Bain and other guys are making comments about how much they miss Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, like
Des isn't even in Memphis anymore.
At some point, there may be a common denominator, and it may not be the coach. Just being 100% honest, like that, there could be something else going on there. That's normally how it goes. I mean, like, if you are somebody, I'm going to be Matt here, but except not really all optimistic about it. If you're someone that's in 10 different relationships and they all fail for the exact same reason, there's a common denominator there, and it's not all these other people. It's probably you, right? So,
or another example along those lines would be, if every team shoots well from behind the arc against you,
oh god,
it's not just a hot shooting night, Donnie.
God. Yeah, common denominator.
The common denominator is maybe
you're
not
playing any goddamn
defense. Sucks.
Yeah, you're not playing any defense. That's what it is. Oh my god, I like how you love to sneak them in there too.
Look, the bottom line, Ja is a lot more talented, I think, than what we've seen from him so far this season. Obviously, things have not gone well in Memphis. There's been a lot of tension. I was there when Ja did his whole thing with the media and didn't want to talk to made it known that he was at odds with the coaching staff and all of that. And the coach wouldn't talk. Thomas Isolo didn't want to talk about it either. He avoided the media, kind of, sort of. They said there was no one there to ask him any questions, and there was. Anyway, it was a whole mess. But things have been rocky so far in Memphis. I do wonder if this is legitimate. Actually, Ja Morant says, wait, you know what? I've changed my mind. Is this his Dwight Howard moment? Never mind. I'm going to pick up my next year option to stay with Orlando. In Ja's case, am I going to try to mend fences and stay in Memphis? Or this is with Ja seen as a malcontent, with Ja playing terrible basketball, we can't reasonably trade him on the contract that he's on. So with 2 weeks to go, plus until the trade deadline, Ja needs to start playing better basketball and needs to toe the line and make it sound like everything's great in Memphis. And maybe this actually paves the way to a deal. So many different ways we can look at this situation, Donnie.
Yeah, and if you want to be pessimistic, you could definitely talk about the ladder there, where it's like they're just trying to get him in, they're trying to get some leverage back, etc. And that's something that we see a lot. You see guys magically come back from injuries close to the deadline, or make themselves available to start playing again. Or teams will magically start putting players in the rotation that weren't a part of the rotation before when you approach the deadline, as they're trying to give these players an opportunity to go out there and improve their market. So maybe that's some of what's happening here. I don't know. Ja hasn't been good at all this season. Don't do it. Don't. I don't want to hear it. Don't.
No. This is not Lakers related.
Okay.
I was going to say, or we see guys sometimes magically need surgery right before the trade deadline, so they can't get traded.
Is that Zach LaVine?
That's the Zach LaVine situation with Chicago. Now, obviously, he's with Sacramento now.
Yeah. That was like 2 years ago, right? Like,
yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
Right before the deadline.
That's right. All right. So we'll see what this ultimately looks like with Ja Morant. But the good news, Ja looked much more like himself. He was having fun out there. He was dancing. He was hitting little step backs, throwing behind the insane no look behind the back passes. Ja looked like Ja Morant again for at least one game in London this afternoon when they took on the Orlando, and Memphis crushed the Orlando Magic. Looked much better. So we'll see what ultimately this looks like for Ja Morant. But interesting that now very publicly Ja putting out there, without using the exact words, that he wants to stay with the Memphis Grizzlies. People are confusing the fact that Ja hasn't been good with the idea that Ja can no longer be good. That's a fantastic point. And sometimes, Donnie, we see this happen across sports, where we see what a player is doing right now, and we project that forward as that's what this player will always be from here on out, which is never the case, because players and what they do, it's not a static thing. Even the most consistent of star level players see ups and downs in their games. Yeah,
absolutely. Especially a guy as young as Ja, where like a couple of videos ago, I was saying so far, statistically, he's peaked at like a 23, 20-year-old player, or at those ages for him. But that doesn't mean he can't get back to being that. That doesn't mean that he can't be optimized better and go back to being a superstar level player. And so if you're interested in trading for him, that's the argument you're making. You're maybe talking yourself into it, but it's not like he's 35. That was just a couple of years ago. He's dealt with some injuries and stuff, and maybe you can optimize him better and get that player back as he enters his prime. Like, that's interesting about him. And it's certainly true for a lot of guys across the league. One thing about it too is that when you get a narrative on you, whether it's you suck, you don't play any defense, you can't shoot, whatever it is, it takes a while to kind of get those narratives off you also. This isn't exactly that, but it takes a while to change the perspective around you. And so for Ja, I think that people are pretty down on him, but I think he could be, because we've seen it. He could be a really good player in a couple of years, or maybe even as soon as this year if he's in the right situation.
That works in both a positive and a negative way. So I think of because you're absolutely right. When narratives get set, it's very difficult to dispel them. Especially we see it in season. Early season narratives are difficult to dispel. Once a team is labeled as bad or good or whatever, it's difficult to dispel those things about them once we get into the middle part of the season. They're just seen as that. But think about Kobe. How long was Kobe seen as a really good top flight defensive player, even making all defensive teams past when he was no longer a good defensive player? That was the thing. How many times, Donnie, do we hear LeBron is a flopper? When you look at the last few years, I can object it. I'm somebody who does not like flopping. We'll freely admit Luka flops, Austin flops, they grift for fouls, all of that. We'll talk about SGA, all of that kind of stuff. LeBron has been getting hammered for years. And are there some times where he may embellish a little bit? Yes, but he is far from among the very worst. And yet the perception of him is that he is just flailing all over the court constantly. I could say it's probably a 2-to-1 ratio, if not more, of times LeBron gets hit and hit hard with no whistle compared to LeBron embellishing any kind of contact. Yet he has this reputation out there as this player who is just, slipping and sliding and falling all over the court in order to pretend like he's getting hit. Those narratives that get set early on, it takes a lot for them to be dispelled.
Well, for that one specifically, it's because there was like a peak in like 2012, 13, where everybody was just flopping like a fish, man. And LeBron is no different. And so a lot for him, they'll also pull out those clips from back then. And they're pretty bad. But Even today, like every now and again, you'll see him do it where he embellishes the contact or whatever. But yeah, you're right on that. I think that with all of that, it's kind of hard to get those off of you, and it's harder in today's climate than it's ever been because now they'll clip something of you and post it on social media, and it'll go viral. And for people that don't actually watch you consistently, they're going to see that and be like, "Oh, okay,
that's where." I don't want to turn this into a whole LeBron thing, but like this guy said, there are long videos of LeBron flopping to invisible snipers. I knew those people that look at that. Are there times where he does? Yes. But it is very infrequent. And so when you see those videos, the perception is that he's just doing it constantly, that it's nonstop. And as somebody who literally calls play-by-play every single game, the amount of contact he gets compared to the amount of whistles he gets, compared to the amount of times he actually embellishes, is nowhere near what the narrative would suggest.
Yeah, that's yeah. I knew it was coming. As soon as you said LeBron, I said, "Oh, he invoked his name." I knew it was going to be out there.
Yeah,
it's not as bad as I thought, though.
All right, let's keep going here. Let me get into some of your questions, some of your comments. I get to watch LeBron flop on defense. I think if there's anything to be mad at LeBron about, it's the freight train, where he just trucks people in transition. He does. I will say he gets away with a lot there.
He's always done that though, where it's not as bad, but in his younger days, he was able to throw that off arm, man, something vicious, and he would get away with it. But he doesn't really go to that as often anymore, but he'll still run you over.
Speaking of off arm and getting away with stuff, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has become a master of the push off.
Yeah.
And Donnie, I think I sent it to you earlier. Do you see everybody is mad right now over especially Thunder fans are mad that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the horror, got called for an offensive foul?
I that's so funny. They said I don't know if it was the caption or a comment. They said they brainwashed the announcers into thinking that this is a basketball play.
That's right. Even the announcers were talking about. I don't know. I don't think I can play the audio from it or anything without getting hit on this. But here's the play. Pelle Larsson is defending of Miami. By the way, a Miami victory, and this is what the announcers were upset about, saying, where did he even make contact? And you just can't call that. This is SGA. Okay, he gets the defender to bite on the pump fake. Who shoots a basketball like that? No one. No one shoots a basketball like that. Nobody. And look, here's the other thing, Donnie, is you get stuff like this. Austin Reaves does the same move. I'm not saying he doesn't. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't like this stuff being in the NBA. Yeah. I wish they leaned in more to the natural shot motion rules, because this is Luka does it. Luka does it too. I know. I'm saying I don't care who's doing it, a Laker or otherwise. It's stupid. It sucks. Get it out of the game. That's awful. And I love that this was called an offensive foul, because offensive players should not have these insane privileges over defenders. Defenders should not be second-class citizens in the NBA rulebook. And that's what happens. Offensive players shouldn't be able to jump into somebody else and get a foul call. This should be an offensive foul. Ja Morant creates all of the contact. And there's nobody who shoots a basketball like that. Look, if there is an art to the pump fake, you get a defender in the air, the defender lands on you, fantastic. Fantastic. I do it too. I wish I had that kind of game. But hey, you've got guys who are really good at getting a defender in the air. That's something different. Get the defender in the air, the defender lands on you. That's different. If it's especially if it's a natural shooting motion, it's I'm going to find someone to run into and fall down. I'm going to jump into somebody to get a call. That's the kind of stuff I want to see out of I don't care who's doing it. I don't care if it's a Laker. I don't care if it's a Thunder. I don't care if it's an Orlando Magic. It doesn't matter. Get it out of the game.
Well, that's just how it is now. Everyone's doing that. It's not as bad as it was, though, even a few years ago, I don't think. I think some guys are doing it more, but like a few years ago, this was worse.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. The James Harden, Trae Young, Steph Curry did it. Well, Steph Curry and Dame were the stop and jump back in to the defender from behind the 3-point line type thing. But the hook, Harden was really egregious about it. The hook the arm thing, and then throw your other arm up under it to try to get a foul call, pin the opponent's arm down.
Jump into guys stuff was like every
Trey
night.
did a lot of the jump into guys stuff.
You'd see it every night, like a few times. Like just you get them in the air and you just jump into them. Like this is not a normal motion. That's not your upper body does not need to go diagonal to the ground when you shoot the ball like that. I don't know why that's normal.
I'll tell you the one that, and look, Austin gets away with this a lot. Luka gets away with it a lot.
Yeah.
But it's the one that gets me too is I'm going to drive towards the basket. I'm going to lean into my defender who's just sliding and defending. I'm going to lean into my defender, then bounce off and shoot. And that's going to get me a whistle. That one too, I feel for defenders in those situations.
I saw it last night. Grant had one of those where he was just barreling down and he loses his footing and falls over. He creates 100% of the contact and he gets to the line.
Yep.
And I'm like, what is the defender even supposed to do in that situation? Just give up a layup? Like, what are they supposed to do?
Those plays drive me crazy where the defender is essentially penalized for having physical form.
Yeah.
For not being able to turn into I don't know, Sue Storm or something like that and just well, I guess even when she's invisible, she has form. Sorry, Shadowcat, to not go Kitty Pryde and be able to have people just phase right through them.
D-Wade was the master of that, by the way. I forgot all about D-Wade. He would get, and he would do it around like right where Shea is now. He would get you like 15, 17 feet out, pump fake, jump right into you every time too. I forgot all about D-Wade with that.
Oh yeah, and this is the other thing too. Keontae George, yeah, you're right. D-Wade would do it, and you think about the NBA Finals against the Mavs. Yeah. Still ain't worse than Keontae George jumping sideways into Rui, and then that being upheld as a foul on review.
Oh yeah, that's worse when they go review it and they still are like, no, this was the right call.
And Keontae George is awesome. He's having a breakout season. Why are we teaching the younger generation this? It's only going to perpetuate this nonsense. Mm-hmm. Anyway, all right. Let's talk a little. Let me get into some more questions and comments here. Beyond just John Morant being a very loyal guy, there's a story out there that just came out the other day that Brian Windhorst talked about actually on Friday, that the trade market is actually being put on hold because teams still don't buy that Giannis isn't leaving the Bucks this year. And I think that's is it wishful thinking? Maybe. But I think some of that comes down to teams think Giannis, who's extension eligible this summer, is going to want to get to a team he wants to stay with before he'll be willing to sign an extension because that's going to be financially beneficial to him. I don't know that I'm pretty sure Giannis coming out and saying, I'm not leaving, I'm not demanding a trade, that should kill Giannis's market for this trade deadline. Instead, though, it seems like teams aren't buying it, and it's actually continuing to nerf the market. Just the idea that Giannis could maybe somehow be available ahead of February 5th.
Yeah, because nobody wants to get caught with their pants down. Like where they make a trade and it's like, oh, I don't have any picks to give anymore.
Like the Knicks.
Yes, exactly. Like the Knicks were this summer. I still think that if they had the picks, which they gave up a bunch to force Bridges to come there in the trade, they would have been able to pull that off. You know, I think so. There was that exclusive window. That was something we talked a lot about. It was heavily reported. I think Giannis is a Knick right now if they're able to pull that off. So I don't think anybody is looking at it like, oh, you know, we can make these trades. Let's do that now. But it's more like, no, let's make sure that we have the assets just in case. So you may actually wind up seeing a lot of buzzer moves for some of these teams. And even then, buzzer moves, but like last second. Yeah, where they wait till the last second, but like small moves. Because if it's not now, it could be in the offseason.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It could happen in the offseason, but Giannis made it very clear. He made an analogy with his relationship with his wife. He's like, it's like, I love you today. Now he flipped it so that it was like his wife saying that to him, but still hinting that like tomorrow that may not be the case. But right now, I love you. Right now, I want to be with you forever.
Add it to the list of 15 other times he said something like that.
Right. Yeah, he always leaves that out. So does Giannis say, well, I loved you today, but then I loved you yesterday, but today you booed us. Yeah. So now I don't so much anymore, and now I want to. So it doesn't change. I was still being truthful yesterday, But now my mind has changed because you booed us for losing this game.
Like I said, he does it, and it's so annoying to me. Like I don't understand it. Like, are you in or are you not? Like I understand you're in right now, but maybe you aren't later. But I don't think you need to say, but maybe I won't be later in so many words.
And Miami is a big factor in all of this, and I'm glad that this team got brought up because Miami is a team that is already known to be, and they've done it before. They did it in the Dame Lillard trade talks. They are withholding certain assets from trades for high-level players, in this case, John Morant, because they want to have something left over to be able to trade for Giannis. Yeah. So like Kelly Ware, they won't make available unless Giannis comes on the market, right? So they are strategically withholding, going after, and probably successfully landing players in the hope that Giannis Antetokounmpo ultimately finds his way there. And there has been some reporting that Giannis wouldn't mind being in Miami. After playing most of his career his entire career in Milwaukee, I don't blame the man. The beach sounds pretty damn good. I would bet. What is the temperature right now? I'm gonna look that up.
In Milwaukee, it's like 30 degrees.
Temperature right now, 13 degrees.
Oh wow! Oh my God!
Get me to South Beach. My God,
13 degrees. I'd die.
That is inhumane.
I'd die.
I do not do well in that cold weather.
No, I'd die. Like I like cold, but not that cold.
I can get down into the 30s and I can be okay. It's a little chilly, but I can get there. But when you start getting into like the teens, the single digits,
no. I'm good.
No.
I'm good.
I'm not about that life. I'm not about that life. All right. We got a super chat here. Remember, one of the ways to get your question definitely answered or your comment definitely answered, unless it's something absolutely absurd, is to send in a super chat. But we got MJ said, Lakers bench deserves a trip to China. So they're not even going fishing? You're sending them to China. Shanghai Sharks. I mean, there are a number of players that are on the Lakers roster right now that may not actually be NBA level talent. Speaking of which, Lakers injury report is out. Luka Doncic and LeBron James are both questionable.
Yeah, there's about 6 guys on the back of that roster that don't need to be on an NBA floor right now.
Austin and Rui are out.
Rui's out.
I'm sorry, Austin and Adu Thero, not Rui. Oh. My fault. I said the wrong name.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, anyway. I will say that did Timmy buy himself a spot? I want to see more Timmy. He was pretty, like, I know he has very clear defensive limitations, but he looked like he could score perfectly fine. And I liked how they were running stuff through him as well. I like that too.
It's a size concern with him and a quickness concern.
I don't mind that.
The skill is there.
They need depth, man. You could just put him out there for 10 minutes a night, 15 minutes. I'm cool with that.
Can he be is he a 4 or a 5? I think that's part of the challenge with him.
Yeah, I think he's a small ball 5, but he's a 4 otherwise. And in which case, if he's your 4, you need to have a really athletic 3 out there, maybe somebody like Vando.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You can't put him out there with guys like Nick Smith, who is like one of the worst defenders in the entire league. You just can't do that.
No.
And JJ was leaning into lineups like that where it's just like, what are we doing here? I know you need to score, but this is desperation.
He's not going to Drew Timmy is not going to erase anything at the rim. He's not going to help you out defensively. So when the question comes in, why did Brooklyn give up on him? Why didn't the Nets keep him? It's because he's a tweener. He's caught between being a 4 and a 5. He's not quite quick enough to be a 4. He's not big enough to be a 5. And so defensively, he really struggles to protect the rim. He didn't shoot the 3 particularly well for the Nets. So now he's trying to prove that he can do that he can shoot the 3, and obviously shot it very well last night. But some guys, right? Guys are going to have drawbacks to their game. The question is, are they able to do enough to where whatever their things are that they can't do the things that they can do overcome that? Do they make it so those other things don't matter as much? You think about, obviously he's out of the NBA right now, but Montrezl Harrell was similarly undersized. to be to be a 5 in today's NBA. And for a number of years there, he made it so that didn't matter with his hyper efficiency around the rim on the offensive end and his insanely high work rate. Ultimately, those things did catch up to him, but he still had a long NBA career because he was able to take what deficiencies he had, and he was able to overcome those things with the things that he does well. Sometimes we lose sight of what a player does well when we focus too much on just what they can't do. And I think Drew Timme could fit in that mold. The question is, though, can his scoring, can his passing make him a positive in spite of his lack of size at the 5, lack of speed at the 4, and the defensive concerns in terms of protecting the rim?
Every time I hear Montrez, I always think about the Manimal, because he had similar weaknesses too. And he only lasted for about 7-8 years. Kenneth Faried, of course, but he only lasted about 7 or so years. It kind of catches up to you. But I think Timme has a legit skill there with like being able to score. And if he's able to be a 3-level scorer, I think you could throw him out there. But I do think you need certain pieces around him. Otherwise, he's a liability, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I did think that on defense, he was sound in terms of the mental aspect of it. He was calling out things that needed to be done. He made good rotations. He didn't do anything loud, of course. And similarly, I actually think Kleber is pretty good at that stuff too. I think Kleber is better on defense than he is on offense by a good margin, actually. And it's mostly just because positioning, like, you know where to be, how to rotate, things like that. But it doesn't mean you're going to get a lot of blocks. It doesn't mean you're going to do all that loud stuff. It's more just the unsung stuff. So I thought, if he's able to do that, that's fine. The problem is with the Laker roster, they got 3 or 4 of them dudes that are like that are just like, oh, we're trying to be, tell you to be here, do this, LeBron, Luka, this and that. So I don't know that you just compound a defensive issue with that. So I don't know that he's made for this current roster, but I would like to see him stick around, long term. If they get more defensive help in terms of on the perimeter, like more athleticism, point of attack, etc.
He could be an NBA level player. And they need more NBA level players on this roster, regardless of their skill set. They need more NBA level players. So Hayes and Ayton are playing. He called them Ain't It, are playing tonight. Yes, they are completely off the injury report, which means both Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton are available tonight. Luka and LeBron are both questionable. Austin Reaves and Adu Thero are the only ones who are officially 100% not available for tonight's game. And that's no surprise.
Do you think that those guys play today? I think Luka does. Do you think LeBron does?
I don't know. I'm a little concerned about whether, he did play their last back-to-back. They've lost 5 of their last 6. They badly need to find a way to get some wins. So maybe he does. But the imaging was clean for Luka. I think he plays. I think LeBron is more of a true question mark.
Yeah, I think with him, it's always going to be, how does he feel the day of for these back-to-backs? And unfortunately, have so many games in short succession, like 5 games in 7 days or something like that. I don't know, 6 games in 9 nights or something stupid like that. So it's just tricky for him to get out there overall. But I think it's mostly about whether or not he feels up to it on that day of. But his routine is so long and all that stuff. He's dealing with those injuries. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. But also part of me thinks he will, just because he showed it to us last time.
Yeah. And I didn't think LeBron, he was okay last night.
No, he didn't. He started slow.
He started slow.
He can be a bit of a rhythm player. If he doesn't, and sometimes he likes to get his other guys in a rhythm, which was fine to start the game. And then he'll bring himself along. But he missed a lot of bunnies. Like he missed like 3 or 4 of those attack the rim, roll right off the rim type shots. That could have very easily swung things, and then he's in a rhythm, and then you see him lean on more high leverage, threes or something like that. That's typically the progression of him in a game. That didn't wind up happening. He was just he missed those, and it killed his box line. So,
yeah, it wasn't. I didn't think it was as bad. There were a lot of people that were, because it was a LeBron by himself game. A lot of people that were like waiting and ready to just go after LeBron if he didn't have a great performance.
I saw 2 very big Luka pages that were literally just hate watching. So
it makes no sense.
It is what it is, man. It goes both ways. That's all I'll say. Is it goes
absolutely ways. It does. I just think the whole concept, and I don't want to go back down this path. I've talked about it too much.
It goes both ways.
It's just so dumb.
Yeah.
Like what?
I understand having a favorite player, but I never understood rooting for a team to lose if one player isn't there, so you can get your objective across, whether it's either one. But like I said, it goes both ways. So fair is fair, right? It just, to me, overall, I wouldn't do it. But yeah, he was bad, and they weren't. I frankly, I didn't really have high hopes for them winning that game anyway, because they didn't have any size out there. They're missing multiple of the best players. No. The Raptors were missing their individual best player, but pretty much everybody suited up for them. So it was kind of tricky otherwise. But I didn't think he was going to be able to, unless LeBron came out and put up like 40. It just wasn't going to happen.
I wanted to see some above average play from some guys who got opportunities, and Drew Timmy did, and I don't think anybody else did. I don't think anybody else.
Kleber started good, and then he just he had that double clutch dunk or whatever.
The double clutch, that's fair.
I was like, oh, where was that? Like, where's that been?
Other than those two, like you didn't get, but yeah, Maxey with the double clutch dunk was pretty insane. He even had the show and go, the pump fake, and then the drive to the basket and scoop score. That was nice. He did get into foul trouble. He also had a 10-foot shot, and he shot at 7 feet.
Yeah,
that was pretty rough. But other than that, I didn't feel like there was much that really, stepped up. Also, good to see Marcus Smart not on the injury report, by the way, because he did. It looked like he got injured at the end of the game. The Raptors injury report I know we have a lot of Lakers fans in here, but here's the Raptors injury report for tonight. No RJ Barrett, no Jakob Poeltl, and no Jacoby Walter for the Toronto Raptors.
Trevor, you better stop being delusional.
Bum is utterly useless, and he has killed chemistry.
I see that chemistry thing pop up a lot, but I feel like because they started hot and they've been struggling of late, I feel like we kind of miss all the stuff in between. It's like it's easy to go with LeBron is back, so it does causation equal. What is it? Correlation, causation.
Correlation equal causation.
Is that what's happening here, or did other things also happen? Like, I don't know, losing a 26 point per game score. Like, I don't know, magically being unable to defend the 3-point line. I don't know, no longer getting a big free throw disparity. I don't know. Like, I could go down an entire list of things. Like, how many things have changed here?
Yeah.
And early in the season when they were playing so good, we also looked at it and said, these numbers don't say that they should be playing and winning as many games as they are. This doesn't line up right. And sure enough, they came back down to earth. Like,
I think if you're trying to take, and I've said this a lot, I feel like I'm a broken record, but if you're trying to take the team struggles and pin it on any one player or thing and say, oh, LeBron came back and suddenly they weren't as good, therefore it's LeBron's fault.
No,
I think you're missing so much.
That's right.
You're missing and it's dumbing it down to a gross degree. You're missing so much of what's actually happened with the team, and it's just it's an easy and frankly it's an engaging thing to jump to, because if you say that, a lot of people will jump in on either side of that conversation, and so it's low-hanging fruit, but it's also not accurate.
Yeah, did you hear? I'll say it was Rich Paul now. That's the big one, because he keeps, dude, I can't believe they do a podcast like every day, it seems. The last few days,
a lot of podcasts.
The last few days, Rich has come on and he's talking about this stuff, like the reaction to his stuff the day prior. Like, what, did they film this daily? What is happening here?
I still don't understand why he's doing that. Like, he tried to make it into like, oh, when I'm on the podcast, I'm not an agent. I'm not doing that, dude. Come on. Like, that's not the way this works. Like, oh, now it's media member Rich Paul. It's no longer agent Rich Paul. Like, you knew exactly what the response was going to be. You don't get to be separate versions of yourselves. I mean, this is a way dated version of this, but if you remember way back in the 90s when Garth Brooks decided he was going to be an alternative rocker and tried to release an album under a different personality, that didn't go over very well, did it? Not everybody can be Mick Foley and play different characters. Rich Paul doesn't get to go start a podcast and suddenly say, nope, as soon as we hit record, I'm now a different person. I'm not the same guy anymore. I'm no longer an agent. Right now, for the next hour, I am solely a media member and nothing else counts. Come on, you can't do that.
Yeah, and I do agree that while I don't think it's all his fault, it's not been helpful. That's like, you don't need that noise around, in the locker room and all that stuff. I don't think that's helpful whatsoever. So I don't think he should be doing it. But he's doing it. He's not going to stop. So I mean, it just is what it is at this point. And people jump to, oh, the Lakers, get rid of LeBron and this is going away. I mean, I think he's going to be vocal no matter what. He's got the most clients in the entire NBA. I think he's trying to clearly do this to differentiate himself. So he's got his own.
He's got other Lakers too.
He's got Du's one, Vando's one, obviously Bronny, which may or may not be there, but like they've got guys that they're going to keep working with Rich, and they're not just going to freeze him out and never work with him again. It's more about the leverage he has within the organization. But I think that he's trying to, before LeBron retires, maybe establish himself more as an individual, right? As separate from LeBron. But I don't know if you saw Austin Rivers talk about it. He was like, you shouldn't be talking about this because everything you say will get taken as if it's coming from LeBron. Like it does, you can't do that. And he really ripped him because that's just how it is. I also got to say, AR was carrying this team. Let's be real. If you dig into the analytics on both ends of the court, by the way, for the Lakers' early tenure with Austin out there, that first 15 or so games, they were really good. Austin stands out as he was legitimately playing as like a top 10 player in the NBA.
Yeah.
And his pairing with Luka, again, on both ends of the court was perfectly fine. Everything was perfectly fine. So he was more impact. His loss means more to this team than I think people realize or expected or even still think.
So definitely trade him for Jaren Jackson.
God damn it, Rich Paul. God damn it. Like, why would you even I swear to God, he's saying the most inflammatory because he followed that up by saying they should trade Luka. Actually, no, Max said that.
Max tried to turn it into a let's trade Luka thing.
Yeah.
What they're not saying trade LeBron.
No, because of course they're not.
When they have control of that situation, but nonetheless, look, you can make an argument. Like, you want me to argue for trading Austin Reaves? I can make that argument. You want me to argue for trading Luka? I can make that argument. You want me to argue for trading LeBron? I can make that argument. You can make it. Just because you can make an argument, though, doesn't mean it's not stupid. You can make an argument for a lot of things. Doesn't mean it's the right thing to do.
They were saying trade Luka. That's where I was like, man, after the first show, I was like, man, I understand what this is. This is just the typical playbook of say the most inflammatory thing possible, get trending, and have people talk about you. That's it. It's a typical playbook.
I like this. Luka and Reaves is why the Lakers are trash. But point blank.
He said can't blame LeBron before that.
Can't blame LeBron. Okay, can't blame LeBron. It's not about I get it. A lot of people jump on LeBron's case, and so people get defensive of LeBron and all that. But the numbers, if you look at the record, the numbers on the court, everything else tells you Luka and Reaves are 100% not the problem here. I'm specifically talking about that pairing. They've actually been when the Lakers have been at their most successful, when you've had those two guys together. Both in terms of their net rating and in terms of actual wins and losses on the court. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. That doesn't mean blame LeBron. I think that's just as idiotic as trying to put it on Luka or Austin. I think trying to deflect blame and say, oh, no, it's not LeBron's fault. Put it on Luka. No, wait, no, it's not Luka's fault. Put it on Austin. No, it's not Austin's fault. Put it back on LeBron. It's crazy. Who cares? Why go around and around and around like that? It's a much bigger issue than any one specific player.
So we didn't see that. So my bad if they did talk about him a little bit on the first. Maybe that was something I saw at the time.
You know what? He's right. He did. I do recall them bringing that up. I had forgotten about that.
I vaguely remember that, kind of, because there's so many other things that have popped up. I vaguely remember that.
They did talk about that. I had forgotten about that. Good.
I gotta also say this, Johnny. Bron fans are annoying. Just understand that it goes across the NBA.
Yes.
There is no. It's just how it is now. Like, you can find pockets of fans for any specific player that will defend anything that player does. They can never do any wrong. They'll claim that they'll criticize him, but they won't actually criticize him. And then they'll criticize everything else about somebody else just to get an agenda across. That you can find that for any single star level player's fandom. I will never forget this. I was shocked that there was D'Lo stands. Like, I have nothing against D'Lo, but when I saw D'Lo stands pulling out that playbook, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know he had stands.
He does?
Because you can find stands for like anybody. They exist. So So that's just how it is. I think maybe Bron kind of gets conflated in that because he's got so many because he's freaking LeBron. But I mean, what about like Steph fans or Luka fans or whoever? You could say it about anybody, right? That's just how it is in today's NBA climate. If they're a big name, especially, they've got a lot of people backing them up. So this is what it is.
I think this is a totally accurate comment here. You two should learn basketball. Hyping a 15-point per game player that disappears every year in the playoffs. You two are Reaves protectors. Yeah, he's been awful this year. I don't know. I'm shocked that anybody could, give him any credit for what he's done so far this season. He has been, I don't know. He's not an NBA player. He's been horrible.
Is that his career average? I think probably like 15, huh? Also, every year is not true. It's also very clearly not true.
The last 2 years, yes. Before that, he was very good in the playoffs. Yes. Anyway, I shouldn't entertain insanity. So we actually have a good question, but not Lakers related here, which is nice. We'll jump off this after what the Dodgers are doing in baseball. So I am closer to the casual side of Dodgers fandom because I don't have the time to follow the ins and outs of MLB's system, how it all works and all of that. I know I enjoy watching a Dodgers game when it comes on, but I'm not up to date on every single free agent and what every team is doing and all that kind of stuff. Not the way I am with NBA. But after what the Dodgers are doing, would you be okay if the NBA had no salary cap? So you see what's happening with the Dodgers. They just added Kyle Tucker. They've got obviously a who's who of some of the greatest players in baseball. It's a very different system in Major League Baseball. I think if you were to add a salary cap to MLB, you'd also have to add a salary floor because there are a number of teams that are more than happy to not spend in Major League Baseball and just enjoy the revenue sharing and cruise along and continue to rake in the cash, and they'll do that. The Dodgers have spent and spent and spent and spent. As far as the NBA, very different sport. One player makes a much bigger difference in the NBA than in MLB or really any other team sport that we talk about. So that I think is a big differentiator. Also, the fact that Steve Ballmer is an NBA owner, I think makes it a very hard no to would you be okay if the NBA had no salary cap? Because the end result, Steve Ballmer has, I think people don't understand how much more money he has than any other NBA owner. Like, it's not anywhere close how much money this man has. So if that were to happen, there's no salary cap. The Clippers could have $1 billion payroll and literally pay all of the top players in the league to be on one team. And Steve Ballmer wouldn't even feel it. He wouldn't even notice the hit financially if he wanted to. And I don't think that's what you want. And that's certainly not what has happened, in what direction the NBA has been going in over the last, during Adam Silver's tenure. They've been going more and more towards a parity model. But in a league with one owner that has significantly more money than anybody else, and in a league where one player makes that big of a difference, I don't think you want a no salary cap model.
Yeah, I'm not in on baseball like at all, but I do hear about the big signings and the way that Walter handles them and stuff like that. Do you think there's any sort of like animosity there? Do you think they maybe change in terms of the league and maybe
there's a push to do it right now. There's been cries to put a salary cap into MLB for a little bit. Now, my thing though is that if you're going to put a cap in, you got to put a floor in too.
Yeah, it sounds very unfair what they're doing from what I hear.
There are people that are saying it's ruining baseball. If you look at the ratings from the World Series this last year, that's the opposite. But which maybe flies in the face of Adam Silver's push for parity. Do super teams create interest and create viewership? But the MLB, it's such a different system. It would be difficult to do it. But yeah, there's more of a cry right now for a salary cap in MLB than I think we've seen in a long, long time. And it's largely because, not just the Dodgers, but largely because of what the Dodgers have been doing. I mean, but there's no rules like there are. Like, Shohei Ohtani's salary is deferred, which means the Dodgers have him on their team right now, but the hit for paying him isn't coming until down the road, until later. So, like, imagine if the Lakers had Luka right now and LeBron, but they're both making veteran minimum salary with money earmarked 10 years from now to actually go to them. And then they're able to use that cap space to go add other players.
That's effectively what the Dodgers have done. Like it's the Wild West in a way in terms of MLB's system.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I like I said, I don't keep up with it, but I do hear about the stuff that they've been doing over the last few years, and it just seems very unfair the way they're able to just spend them, spend and keep getting these guys and all that stuff.
I think it's a because that means owners can collaborate and compete with the Clippers. I think there's a difference too in that in MLB you've got some teams that don't want to spend and don't have to spend, so they don't. There's a reluctance from some teams to spend as well. But yes, the Dodgers are being very aggressive, let's say, and going out there and getting players.
The concept of deferring salary also seems crazy to me.
Right? That deferring salary, doing the things that they could do. It's crazy. You know what I would like to see though, Donnie, that I think would make the NBA more complicated on the trade front, but interesting too. MLB, you could trade a player to a team and the current team can continue to pay a portion of the salary, and that can be part of the negotiation.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say the Grizzlies wanted to trade Ja Morant and nobody wanted Ja Morant in that contract. The Grizzlies can say, you give us X, Y, and Z for Ja Morant, and we'll keep $15 million of his cap hit on our books, and you're only responsible for the remaining 25-ish million.
Huh. Yeah,
that would be interesting, I think.
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy.
Did you guys see the Kevin Love take on the CBA apron? He doesn't like how it punishes teams for building it the way the NBA wanted. Is that in terms of building players up through the draft and then not being able to keep them because eventually they get too expensive? That's true. Does it force teams to lose players that they don't want to lose? Yes. But that goes into the bigger picture goal of trying to make sure that you don't wind up with too much talent sitting on one team. And so they're trying to force that talent off of those rosters onto other rosters, build other teams up, and create more parity around the league. But yeah, there's got to be some frustration with that. Like if you're the Thunder and you just hit it out of the park in every single draft, can't you just keep those guys forever and just keep paying for them? Right now, the NBA system says, well, technically you can, but we're going to bring the hammer down on you for doing it.
Does the system currently, because what it is these guys get too expensive, so they need to be replaced eventually by other guys you have, but you won't have other guys if you're not also drafting. So does it kind of de-incentivize even trading your draft picks to an extent to make sure you have these cheaper salaries coming in?
Yeah, I think that's part of what we're seeing on the market right now when teams are very reluctant to give up draft capital. First of all, part of it, the problem is the majority of the draft capital is being hoarded by a few specific teams. Yeah. But there's also, I think, more of an understanding of how important it is to hit on draft. Like, for example, I know I don't want to go back to Lakers all over again, but I'm going to anyway. People look at the Lakers roster and they say, where is their depth? Well, part of it is they missed on MLE signings, guys like Kendrick Nunn and Lonnie Walker and Montrezl Harrell, Captain Cardio, Gabe Vincent. But they also they got 2 draft busts effectively. I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now with Dalton Knecht. JHS, I mean, is very clearly he's not in the NBA anymore. Missing on those 2 picks, very, very damaging. Very damaging. I think it's now more important than ever to not only have draft capital, but hit on draft prospects. You get a guy, look at the Hornets. They got a rotation level big in Ryan Kalkbrenner in the 2nd round. What a big deal that is. That's massive to find somebody that you can play in an NBA game and have them on that kind of contract. You miss on draft picks, and it is a big, big disadvantage in today's NBA. So keeping those picks is pretty important now.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just it's interesting how it all folds together. And in some ways, I don't know that they even foresaw either. But it's interesting in the way that it all folds together. And I wonder if when it comes time to negotiate a new one, if they don't step back on some of these things, because it is very limiting if you don't do very certain things.
That's something Keith Smith and I talk about all the time is unintended consequences. Yeah. I mean, the whole player movement era in the NBA, the whole, super teams and stars teaming up and all of that, that was all an unintended consequence.
That was all because owners said, well, God, we're on the hook for these guys, the Vin Bakers of the world that are on 7-year contracts and they're not producing that way anymore. We're in year 3 of the contract. I got to pay this guy for 4 or 5 more years and they're not good anymore. We need to do something about this. Let's cut it down to 6 years. Let's cut it down to 5 years. Let's cut it down to 4 years, right? But cutting down the maximum number of years you could give also meant guys hit free agency more often, which meant guys' free agencies overlapped more often. And players went, wait, LeBron and Wade and Bosh went, wait, you're a free agent? I'm a free agent. He's a free agent too? No way. Hey, let's all go
they
hang
took it
out.
a step further. They started planning that stuff. I'll never forget Kyrie in that tunnel with KD. They set that all up there. That they were going to go to Brooklyn. They started planning that stuff.
That gave players the ability to do more things like that. So, but that's all an unintended consequence, and it drastically shifted the NBA, all because owners didn't like paying 7 players for 7 years, and so that it's something that we always see is there are unintended consequences to the rules, any rule changes that they make, and that it can be tricky when you're dealing with stuff like that. It can be tricky because if you tweak something even just a little, it can drastically change the ecosystem.
Yeah, that's just overall pretty interesting, and I'm interested in seeing if maybe they do make any changes with that stuff. There was, I think, a super chat that we missed in there.
Oh, was there?
I believe so.
Oh, when will JJ play Chris Mannion or Magnon? Either way. If he's not getting opportunities right now, I don't know when he does. I think defensively, there's got to be some intrigue in him. Perhaps it's just, hey, let's develop him for a while. But I would assume he'd be next up to get a look. But obviously, they went and added Kobe Buffkin on a 10-day contract. They brought him in out of the G League. They're playing him ahead of Chris right now. They're playing Dalton Connect. Everybody is ahead of him right now. So I don't know if he's not playing at this point. I wouldn't assume that that's coming anytime soon.
Yeah, he was the only guy that got a DMP yesterday, right?
Yes, I believe so.
We even saw the double LeBron James lineup. I haven't seen that since like
the
last
LeBron
year.
and Bronny. That's right.
I don't think we saw that since last year. Man, and Bronny I was like, eesh, because he didn't even do anything wrong, but he got hunted twice on those 2-step back threes, and Caleb Love, right? He just lit him on fire. JJ said, "Come sit right back next to me, man."
He went and sat back down. He
He got a nice little drop off assist too, but it didn't matter. JJ was like, "Nope, come sit down."
No. He is a short leash for guys like that. For Nick Smith Jr. too.
Oh,
yeah. He got cooked a few times, and JJ was just like, "No, man, go sit."
Nick looks like he can't handle versus pressure, and they pressure him, and he kind of speeds up and he turns it over. He's been doing that the last few shifts he's got. And I think JJ does not like that at all. Like nobody would, right? No. And so he pulls him quick.
Who were the Lakers going after before Dalton fell in the draft? The names I had heard were Reaves Misi. I'd heard pretty strongly connected to them, and Tristan Da Silva were the guys they were looking at.
Yeah, Da Silva went after him, right?
And so did I think Reaves did as well. Yeah, Kello Ware was the guy I was hoping would fall to the Lakers, and he went like 2 picks before, I think.
Yeah. Well, with those guys, I think Missy went 19 or something like that. They were in a situation where they're like, last year we didn't take the talent play. Let's do it this year instead of still drafted for fit. Whatever.
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, Missy would have been nice. The comment says.
Yeah, he would have been. Increased bird rights for teams to keep draftees. So I've seen that idea thrown about, like, if you draft a player, that player's salary only counts for a certain percentage against the cap. So for example, if you draft a player and the player is great and you want to give them the 25% max because they become an all NBA player or something like that, or whatever you're going to pay them, their salary, let's say 75% of it counts against the max, or against the cap, if they're a player that you drafted. Or could it be 50%, or could it be 80%, whatever that could be a sliding scale, but as a way to incentivize teams to continue to draft well. I think that would increase the value of draft picks significantly. And if you're going to make a change like that, you would have to give teams years in advance to adjust their strategy accordingly. But I've seen that idea out there that maybe to try to help teams and encourage teams to keep their players and not have to lose them. It's to make those players not count, still pay the players, but just make their salary not count against the cap at the same level.
Yeah. That shows you don't know any ball. Love basket against Bronny was well defended. It was just better offense. I feel like I started off that statement by, and maybe this isn't addressed at us. I feel like I started off by saying he did all he could. Because, I mean, he got a step on him twice. That's all you could really do. It's a step back. You can't do anything else about it aside from to stick to it and not bite on that. There's not anything else you can do. So he was just better offense, but that doesn't change the fact, unless you're saying JJ doesn't know ball, which I mean, okay. That doesn't change the fact that after those, JJ sat him right back down. Just was what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And I don't think I've been very much defending Bronny more than most, I think, for a while now. I've talked a lot about, Bronny stand, apparently. I've been talking about how much work the kid has put in and how much growth he's legitimately had. That still doesn't mean he's an NBA level player. And I don't think we're there yet. Maybe he will get there. Maybe he won't. But he's not there right now as an NBA level player. I think he's one of those guys right now who's very good in the G League, but still not quite ready when he takes that step up against NBA competition.
Yeah, I think maybe if he was 2-3 inches taller, teams would be more willing to give a chance to him.
For sure.
I don't want to say teams because it's not like he's on the open market yet, but hypothetically speaking, if he was, I think they would be more willing, if he's just a little bit, because the bounce is there. Like, he's very clearly got the LeBron athleticism. He just doesn't have the height. And so I think that matters because he's just another smaller guard out there. But I think he has a good feel for the game and stuff like that. We're not going to wax poetic about Bronny like we did last show. But, he had a couple, good defense, better offense situations, and he got set down. But to the greater point, that was brought up because Magnon didn't play. Everyone else played but him. So I don't know what's going on with JJ.
Well, but you also notice Dalton Connect was not part of the game plan. He was not going to play until they got into garbage time. Yeah. Then they put him in.
Yeah, because Buffkin stole all his minutes, which, by the way, I like Buffkin's size as a guard out there.
Well, 6'4".
We talked about that. I mean, that makes a big difference, right? Like being a 6'4" instead of 6 foot, Gabe. He can get up high to get those rebounds. He's decent on defense. He got burned off ball defense towards the end of last game, and they're trying to make that fake comeback and gave up a 3, but decent on defense relative to what this team has. He's all right.
I mean, he's only played in like 30 games. He was a first-round pick and only played in 30 games in his NBA career.
Yeah,
so
I'd like to see
more. What happened to Shake Milton? Didn't shake out for him.
That's how I know it's time.
He didn't play particularly well, and he couldn't shake it off.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's how I know it's time.
All right, we do need to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. We'll take a couple more questions. We'll be right back in just a minute. Ever hear the Sleeper app? Here's a little secret. It's more than just a platform for season-long fantasy leagues. This year, millions of users enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but the app offers so much more. Live stats, real-time updates, and visualizations on all stats. A news feed, this is so important for me. You can get lightning-fast updates on your favorite players and teams. A real-time chat to allow you to engage with other users about individual plays and performances during the NFL and NBA seasons. So download the #1 sports app today. Experience it for yourself. When you use promo code Bulletin, you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. And by the way, they do have a phenomenal promo going on right now as well. Free $20 entry. Go check that out. No deposit required. $20 entry for free. Go check them out. Use the link in the description down below, and that promo code is Bulletin. All right. The Shake melted. We've got a comment here that Shake is in the Serbian league right now. I did not know that.
A lot of times those guys that are fringe NBA players can find a spot.
They can make really good careers.
Yeah, for sure. Just because you're not able to play in the NBA for one reason or another doesn't mean that you're not still a great player that can make a living. Like that's still really cool. It's always nice to see that these guys are overseas and able to still play. And maybe he'll find his way back at some point.
All right. People care more about the deadline than the game now, and I'm kind of one of those people. I mean, I find the moves behind the scenes and all of that very, very interesting, and how teams approach roster building, and it's the game within the game, and it's part of the reason why first of all, I love NBA basketball games. They're awesome. They're so much fun, and the on-court product is great. But part of the reason why the NBA dominates social media, and I'm not talking about television ratings. NFL obviously dominates television ratings, but when you look at social media, the NBA eclipses these other leagues. Part of the reason why they do that, I'm not talking about European soccer or anything like that, but I'm talking about American leagues. It's because of this. It's because the NBA is, while I wish it was a true 365-day a year league, it's not quite. We do have some quiet months typically in August and in September, but there's a lot going on the majority of the year around the NBA, whether it's actually on the court, or with the off the court things in terms of the trade and transaction game. And it's something that the NBA very much enjoys. And I love getting into the strategy of how teams are being put together, why they're being put together the way they are, how the cap comes into play, and all of that. It's a lot of fun. And I think it's become a really important part of the NBA and how the NBA is reported on.
I agree with you. I wonder if that's why they're trying to do their own EuroLeague now too, so they can have more of a reach out there. That could be interesting.
Yeah, it definitely worked with the XFL. So, having off-season stuff. No, it did not work with the XFL.
Yeah, I don't know what the XFL is, to be honest. But
you don't know what the XFL is? That was when Vince McMahon tried to create a football league for when the NFL was in the off-season.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
so I take it it's no longer a thing anymore.
It's no longer a thing. They tried to bring it back, and that also didn't work. So, yeah.
I just got to say this. You two are going to look stupid once Bronny's starting another team with a coach that knows how to develop players and not making faces every time they make a mistake. Why would we look stupid? We didn't say anything wrong. We didn't say that. I don't understand the hyper defensiveness. We didn't say anything wrong.
No, I mean, look,
we didn't even make a statement.
What's the argument? Is the argument that Bronny is a rotation level NBA player right now, and the Lakers should be playing him every night? Like, I just don't see a defensible argument for that. That's not what he is right now. If that's what he is in the future, fantastic. That'd be great. The kid has worked his butt off. Yeah. That'd be wonderful for him to become a rotation. That's not what he is right now at this moment. And I don't think there's a defensible argument to make that he is.
The argument, I guess, is that he's just not on the Lakers. That's what he's trying to say. He just needs minutes with a different coach, I guess. And I do actually agree that if you want to develop young guys, this is a flaw with JJ. They need time. They need minutes. They need the ability to go out there and make mistakes and grow. The problem is JJ or otherwise, this organization isn't in a position where they're able to do that so much right now. They need to try to make moves and play the players that are good right now, especially when they're not blowing teams out. A lot of times these guys get in for the good teams the last 10 minutes of a game, last 7 minutes of a game. They're not able to do that here because they're not blowing these wins away. I guess they could do it in losses too, but that's not fun, right? But either way, these guys need time to develop, and they're not able to get that on this roster for one reason or another. But I do agree with that overall. It's just I don't think we said he's bad. He shouldn't be in the NBA. I don't think we said anything inflammatory. Like I don't know why we would be wrong. And I just don't understand the defensiveness of it because I think that I talked about his athleticism. I think he has a good feel for the game. I think he can be an NBA. But in fact, last time we talked about this, which is why I said I wanted to cut it short, I thought he could be one of those guys like a Scottie Pippen, where like 3-4 years down the line,
junior
picks him up. Yeah, junior, where a team picks him up and is like, oh, this guy's really good. I think that could be a thing for him. He just needs time. He's not there yet. That's the main thing. So
it's just like why we say Dalton Connect was maybe, I don't want to say harmed, but disadvantaged more than anyone else by the Hornets trade being rescinded. Because in Charlotte, he could have gotten up shots and not getting pulled when he's making defensive mistakes and probably develop a bit more than in the situation that he's in with the Lakers.
I mean, would he still be getting minutes right now? Because Khan
No, Khan probably would take that role. But in terms of last year.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know that things ultimately changed that much for him in terms of this year. But he would have been better off if he went. I said that at the time. Like, I don't know that it ruined his confidence or anything like that. But I think he would have been better off being able to be on a team without the expectation, the cachet of the Lakers, the bright lights, all that stuff, being alongside guys like LeBron and Luka, where you feel the pressure. Like, it's just, he would have been better off, right? And that's not the case he's in.
You reckon LeBron will leave the Lakers next year? Rich Paul is kind of dropping hints on his podcast. It's more possible than ever before, and that some of that is just logistics. LeBron has the ability to retire. He could decide he wants to play for another team. The Lakers have the ability to offer LeBron another contract. They have the ability to not offer him another contract. There is no commitment on either side at all, and we'll see what happens this summer. But it's pretty clear the Lakers are building the team around Luka. LeBron has said that it's Luka's team now. That's the reasonable thing to do, is build the team around the 26-year-old player. And yeah, it's very possible that LeBron's not a Laker next year. I've said consistently, I hope he plays whatever his final game is. I hope he plays it in a Lakers jersey. But it's very possible, I think, that LeBron's not a Los Angeles Laker next year.
By that same token, I think it's still also very likely he is.
Yeah.
That's
it. It's really up in the air.
I think that a lot of like Luka stands are making the assumption he just won't be here next year. And I wouldn't make that assumption. There's a possibility he comes back on a more team-friendly contract. He won't be here for $50 million, whether you think he needs or he deserves it or not. He won't be back for $50 million.
That's the thing.
That's not a guarantee he's not back. Like, he could be back at a lower number. Certainly, it's possible.
And that's where pressure's on Rob Pelinka, right? If you're going to go to LeBron and say, hey, we need you to not be on a $50 million contract, you need to be able to say, we need you not to be on a $50 million contract because we're going to use that flexibility to go get this guy, this guy, this guy.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's been weird between all parties involved going back to the summer, asking for, not getting the extension, didn't ask for it apparently. Rob Pelinka, we'd love to have LeBron. I don't know if I buy that. Well, okay, whatever. Rob, we'd love to have LeBron retire as a Laker or whatever when asked by Dave at that, media day. Mm-hmm. All that stuff, and then obviously the Rich Paul podcast, some other things that have happened. It's been weird, right? I'm not gonna just act like it hasn't, but that doesn't mean it's not fit. Like, he can't be back and things can't work out, right?
For years, keeping LeBron was a top priority for the Lakers, and that's no longer the case. And it's going to be weird. When has this ever been? Since LeBron was probably like 10. When has he ever not been the most important player on his team? Okay. Never. So it's a unique and new situation, I think, for everybody involved.
And I think it's also weird a lot of times too, when you have one of these like passing the torch type moments, it can go multiple ways. Especially in LeBron, and this is where it complicates things, that LeBron is still able to produce the way he is, because he may feel like, he said XYZ, right? Like Luka's team, blah, blah, blah. And I think he agrees with that. I think he's fine with that. I don't think he has any problem with Luka, but he may still feel like he should be more important than he is, seemingly, because of his ability still. Whereas normally a 40-year-old guy is like on the end of the bench, like these aren't guys making max money. So I think that's where it's kind of complicated things, that he's still able to produce the way he is.
Yeah. Good problem to have, but yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That he's still producing that way.
For sure. I'm not going to get on here and say he's ruining everything. Like I said earlier, I think that's low level analysis, because you're not factoring in all the other things that have happened. Right. I just don't think that that's made as an argument in good faith.
All right, let's go here for this last super chat. I would have rather seen Bronny develop that versus all the Captain Cardio minutes this year. My bad, last Bronny point. Man, I think when people look at the Lakers roster and say, why are they lacking so much depth? It's not just, we talked about the draft picks that apparently were misses. We talked about that earlier. It's not just that, though. You've got $33+ million in Maxey, Gabe, and Vando. I mean, if you had all three of those guys, if they were free agents right now, teams would probably be willing to give them a vet min, and that's probably it. We're talking minimum salaries. And Vando being the one guy that maybe could get a little bit more just based on his defensive prowess, but the other two are definitely veteran minimum guys, if anything. That the Gabe Vincent signing has been brutal. It's been brutal. I mean, you've gotten very little actual quality NBA for a guy that you committed, not just the money, but the years, 3 years to Gabe Vincent. And in those 3 years, he was injured the first year. The second year, not bad. And then this year, He hasn't even been doing the veteran stuff that you would expect him to do out there on the floor. He's been getting torched.
Yeah.
It's been a rough go, that's for sure.
Yeah. I wanted to show this one really quick. What do you guys realistically think AR lands on his next deal? So not to piss off all the AR needs to be traded guys, but I think two things are true here. Firstly, he was playing, like I said earlier, based on all the numbers and the performance of the team as a top 10 player at the start of the season. Now that's only a third of the season, so do with that what you will, or maybe less. Do with that what you will. But secondly, I think you could also look at this slump and say, if you're Reaves' camp, and say, look, we were doing this. This is the team's performance, and look at how things shifted. And then especially if he comes back and they're able to rip off some wins, then you really have leverage. And so I think there's a good chance, we were just talking about LeBron, and it's kind of weird when you say it, but I think there's a good chance he makes much more than LeBron does next year if LeBron returns on this roster.
Oh, I think there's a real good chance.
Really good chance. And secondly, I think Reaves, his max was about 40. I don't know that he gets 40, but he's going to be mid-30s, I believe.
I think there's a chance. Like, other teams will be after him. He will have a number of suitors. We already heard the Utah Jazz is a team that'll be after him. Of course. But Austin has made it very clear he wants to be a Laker. How cute do the Lakers want to get with their offer for him?
Yeah.
And if it's known that he's getting max level offers elsewhere, what is he willing to do? Is he he said that he doesn't have to he's not worried about getting the biggest contract ever or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But what does that ultimately look like? What can you give him? He obviously, 22 million average annual value was not enough. Mm-hmm. And I don't blame him. It's definitely not enough, especially after the season that he's been having. But what is that number? The most can be a deal starting at just over 41 million. That's the most. That's the ceiling. That's as high as it could possibly go, because that's what a 25% max is going to be, roughly right around that $41-ish million range. If let's say the Lakers offer 35, if the Jazz, let's say, come in and offer 41, is that a deal breaker with the Lakers? Do the Lakers then lose him?
I think he takes the 35.
I think you negotiate. I think with the Lakers, you have open and honest negotiations, and you say, hey, look, the Jazz offered this. What can you do? I know the Lakers don't want to lose him. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. I think you need to work in a collaborative setting and do what you can to come up with a number that everybody is happy with. But you're certainly not, I see people still tell me like, oh, 25 million is the most you should give for him. And then you're losing him, right? Then he's gone and he's going to walk away for nothing if other teams are offering 41 or whatever and the Lakers offer 20 or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where it is with them, because I think, and especially, you know what it is too? I think a lot of his pay will be determined by the offseason or the postseason, in terms of what this team does, how he looks as a pair with Luka. That may sway this, give or take a few million. So I think that'll be something that they're really looking towards as well. So if it is true that he's somebody that is not able to be good in the playoffs for one reason or another, I think we'll see similar struggles to last year again, where he was hurt last year, but say we see similar struggles. And it doesn't look good. Maybe things look differently. Maybe he's less of a priority. Maybe they look to try to make a move with him. There's a lot of different avenues you could go. But I think that with him, for sure, currently right now, it looks like he is their number two. Like I think they feel pretty confident he could be their number two guy.
AR didn't win us a championship. Stop trying to get this dude overpaid. It's not about Austin versus LeBron. It's just about what the market is willing to pay him. And as far as like trying to get him overpaid, I'm not trying to do anything. That doesn't change. Like if Austin's salary was tied to mine somehow, then pay the man. If I was his agent, pay the man, right? Let's go for max money. That's not the case. That's not the case. But I also don't think, from having interviewed Austin a few times now over the years since he first came to the Lakers, I don't think money is like a big driving factor in his life. I went to his youth camp in Arkansas this last summer. I've gone a couple of years, and to chat with him and his brother. And Austin, each year he pulls up in an old beat up pickup truck. Like literally, that's what he's driving around in. It's just an old truck. I was having a conversation with some people around his camp and said, hey, people have known him for a long, long time, and said, what has changed since he's gotten the contract? And he's now making millions every year. He said, honestly, it's pretty crazy, but nothing. Like, he's still the same dude. He hasn't bought himself anything. He bought himself nice golf clubs. That's it. Like, he's just the same old guy. So I really don't think money is that big of a motivator for him. But that said, I think they're still going to want to see like a real commitment here from the Lakers, especially since he's been on a below market value contract for a number of years now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but he is literally, every time he's captured, always in Lakers merch. He doesn't dress up for nothing. The dude he's either a Lakers merch or a black hoodie with some sweats. He is as frugal as they come, it looks like. So I don't know about frugal, but like, it's not as important to him, is what I'll say. Right.
Exactly. So is there a chance that 35 million is in play or something? Like, that's probably not going to change the life he's living if it's 35 instead of 40. So it'll be interesting to see if they can work together.
Does that 25 change his life all that much then, if that's the case? Because that would be very helpful if he was on.
Well, sure. I mean, that would be great. That'd be great, right? There's people in chat saying, we know you're getting a cut from Austin's contract. Boy, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great if the Lakers cared so much about what I say that they changed what their opinion was on how many millions of dollars they're willing to pay a player? Oh, man.
You're very connected to everybody because you're on the Clutch payroll, everything. You get accused of a lot.
Apparently, I'm on everybody's payroll. That's what's going to happen here, I guess. That'd be fantastic.
My only thing about LeBron retiring elsewhere is, does he want to pack up his family or play separately from his family for a year? That's my whole thing when it comes to stuff like that. I don't know that like, I think he has a better chance of walking away than going to play somewhere else.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Even though he hasn't had a tour announced, anything like that, if he gets in the offseason and is like, oh, say the Lakers just don't want to deal with him anymore. They don't want to give him even a minimum for some reason, whatever, hypothetically, he may just be like, okay, well, I don't want to go to Cleveland. I don't feel like living a year away from my family or moving my family down there. Right.
Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how much he wishes he could spend Christmas with his family this year.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's doing golf
home game for Christmas Day.
He's posting golf every other day now. He's practicing his swing during the games. He's already like right at the door, man. Like, I don't know. So I think there's a better chance of that happening personally than him going somewhere else if he doesn't stay.
This one says Trev's on Bombers payroll. Well, first of all, we have done way too many Kawhi aspiration videos to possibly stay on Bombers payroll. But man, if I could be Donnie, I would plant so many trees.
Dude, I'm not even talking. I don't even need like a constant infusion of tens of thousands. He could give me like 3,000 a month for life, and I'm cool.
He could do that and not know he was doing it.
Exactly. Like, bro,
dude, he could give you 3,000 a day, easy, and not even notice. Like, not notice that expenditure at all.
Oh man, so yeah, we're not getting paid from anybody if it wasn't clear. It would be nice though. I'll always say it would be nice.
Oh man. All right. We've been on here for way longer than we intended to be, like double time. So we appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. I did a terrible job during this show because I didn't remind people to do it. Actually, hit the subscribe button. I'm doing it at the very end. Hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on those notifications. Thank you, everybody, for the conversation. Had a good time talking NBA basketball with all of you. Till next time, see ya, and stay safe.